Okay, let's dive right into this explainer, the 1% rule, how small daily decisions build massive wealth. Have you ever looked around and wondered why some folks just seem to effortlessly build up massive wealth over time, while others, who are honestly working just as hard, stay completely stuck in the exact same financial spot? Well, today we're unpacking exactly why. We're going to look closely at how tiny, seemingly invisible everyday habits literally dictate whether we build real wealth or just face a lifetime of financial struggle.
Section 1. The silent money software. What is running in the background?
You know how your smartphone has all those invisible apps running in the background draining your battery? Well, your finances have a background software too. And make no mistake, it operates totally unnoticed, and it's either silently making you a king or it's steadily keeping you broke. Think of it like the boiling milk illusion. Picture this. You're standing at the stove, boiling a pot of milk. You stare at it for 5, maybe 10 minutes. Nothing. Absolutely nothing changes. You get bored, pull out your phone to scroll for literally 2 seconds, and boom, the milk violently boils over everywhere. Money plays this exact same game with us. Our money and our daily habits are silently accumulating while we aren't even paying attention.
Which brings us to that incredibly frustrating question we've all asked ourselves at some point. Why does your bank balance never seem to change? You check your accounts, right? You look every single day. You see the exact same numbers, the same flat balance. You're putting in the hard work, but it feels like absolutely nothing is shifting. But remember that silent software we just talked about? It is running, always. So why do we constantly miss it? And more importantly, why do we fail to act on it to improve our situation?
That brings us to Section 2, the miracle trap. Why we fail by day 3.
The reality is, we are fighting our own human nature here. This is the core psychological reason we constantly struggle to build wealth, and exactly why get-rich-quick schemes are so irresistible. Psychology basically tells us our brain is a bit of a tokabaz, a total fraud. It's hardwired to just sit around waiting for a massive miracle. We convince ourselves that getting rich means hitting the lottery or getting some magical windfall. And because of this, our minds trick us into making these huge, completely unsustainable resolutions. We wake up and say, that's it, tomorrow my life changes. I'm waking up at 5 a.m., quitting all my bad habits, and I'm going to dominate the stock market. And what actually happens? By day 3, you're exhausted, completely burnt out, and right back at the local stall eating a samosa. In that burnout, that dumps us right into what's known as the middle-class trap. Because we didn't get that giant overnight miracle, we look at our small efforts and just completely dismiss them. We think, man, what's the point? Saving 100 rupees today isn't going to make me Ambani. But honestly, this is an incredibly toxic mindset. Believing that small, incremental changes are useless is exactly what traps you in that endless cycle where, come the very last day of the month, your bank account is echoing with total silence.
Which leads us to the solution in Section 3, the 1% magic formula, the math behind the magic. There is a reliable way out of this emotional roller coaster, and it comes down to hard, undeniable math. I'm talking about the sheer power of compounding. Albert Einstein famously called this the 8th wonder of the world. For us, compounding is just the simple process where a tiny 1% daily improvement multiplies rapidly over time. Seriously, this is how Warren Buffett made 99% of his wealth after he turned 50. And the absolute key here is understanding that this doesn't just apply to the interest sitting in your savings account, it applies equally to your financial skills, your money management, and your everyday decisions. Just look at the sheer scale of this math, 37x. If you take a metaphorical magic piggy bank and you just improve your savings or your financial skills by 1% every single day, say taking 100 rupee effort and compounding it, by the last day of the year, it doesn't just slowly add up. No, it multiplies by over 37 times. That tiny daily drop becomes an absolute powerhouse of value by the end of the year. It's literally exponential. But here's the catch. You have to be incredibly careful because compounding is a double-edged sword. On one side, getting 1% better every day yields that massive 37x growth. But on the flip side, what happens if you get 1% worse every day? What if you casually waste $200 daily on an unnecessary cold coffee, telling yourself, I'll figure it out tomorrow? That 1% daily decline silently drags you dangerously close to absolute zero. The hidden truth about wealth is that the rich don't make millions in a single day. They just consistently keep their daily habits in that 1% positive zone. Let's look at Section 4, Raju versus Kaju, a tale of two paths.
Let's ground all this math in some absolute reality. Imagine 2 friends starting at the exact same starting line, each making exactly 40,000 rupees a month in salary. Raju is a bit dramatic, right? He lives strictly by that YOLO, you only live once attitude. Every single evening, he's spending $150 to $200 on street food, chat pakoda, cigarettes, and random online shopping. He just laughs it off thinking, how is saving this tiny pocket change ever going to make me rich? Then we have Kaju. Kaju understands the 1% rule deeply. He isn't making massive, painful sacrifices. He just saves 50 to 60 rupees daily and drops it into a simple index fund. And crucially, He spends just 10 minutes before bed reading or watching something about financial education.
Let's fast forward a bit and see how this builds. At month 1, they both earn that same $40,000. At 6 months, honestly, absolutely nothing has visibly changed. They ride the same old bike, they eat the same basic dal roti. Raju is actually actively mocking Kaju for being cheap. But jump ahead to the 3-year mark and the game flips entirely. Because Kaju compounded his knowledge by 1% daily, he became visibly sharper than his peers and snagged a massive promotion at work. Plus, those daily savings compounded into a fund worth lakhs. Meanwhile, Raju, he is stuck at the exact same salary, literally begging his friends for money just to pay off his credit card bills.
This brings us to our final part, Section 5, Compounding Your Habits, Taking Control of Today.
This whole story brilliantly illustrates that money is never just about your salary, it's all about compounding your habits. So how do we actually apply this? Well, the great news is you don't need to completely overhaul your entire life by tomorrow morning. You just need to take control of today's tiny decisions. First, just save 50 to 60 rupees daily by cutting out one unnecessary expense. Second, take that small amount and invest it in simple, low-cost index funds. Third, dedicate a mere 10 minutes every night to read or watch anything about financial education. And finally, try to improve your actual work skills by just 1% every day. People are always asking, what stock is going to double overnight? Forget the market for a second. Earning a 1% daily dividend on your own financial literacy, on your own mind, is the real secret key to the wealth vault.
I really want you to internalize this incredibly reassuring thought. You don't have to change your entire life in one day. You just have to handle today. That's it. Focus strictly on the present moment. If you make a 10 or 20 rupee correct decision today, in 10 years it will have completely altered your financial landscape. Just let the compounding do the heavy lifting in the background while you just focus on winning the day.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, deeply important question to ask yourself before you make your very next purchase. Is your next decision making you 1% better tomorrow or 1% worse? Because remember, those tiny drops don't just fill a pot. If managed right, they compound to create an entire ocean of wealth. Thank you so much for joining me, and I highly encourage you to start your 1% journey today.